Alright everybody, we're on the way to the ferry. Hopefully for good this time. It was, it's been pretty full on this whole trip to the Isle of Wight. It's been pretty good, but we've had a good time. There's not, it's had its fair share of troubles, including last night when I couldn't get any of the footage over. And so today's main video is, or yesterday's rather, main video is not only going to go out today, so it gets very confusing. But hopefully they'll all be out later and we'll all be up to date later on. But who knows? So on the way to the ferry, that is at 5 minutes past 1 it leaves. They like to have you there 30-40 minutes ahead of time. It's now nearly 10 to 12, so we've got about the right time. We're about on track, which is good. We just need to get going and hopefully get there in plenty of time with no hold-ups, and then get on to the other side and get going to our destination. We're going to pass some absolutely fabulous scenery on the way, so hopefully we can bring you a load of information about the scenery and some of the geology there as well. Well, so far so good. We're waiting to get on the boat. Well, we did it. We made it. We're back on the mainland. Caught the ferry right. Praise the Lord. Let's go. I'm going to go a slightly longer way round to the Jurassic Coast, because rather than sort of going through the towns and cities and then up and sort of over, I'm going to try and follow the coastline, because I'd like to show you some of the incredible geology that there is along the coastline, down through the Isle of Purbeck and so on and so forth. So let's go see what we can find. Well, we're on our way to a place called the Isle of Portland. The Isle of Portland has got a rather special place in my heart, because it's the first ever place that we stayed specifically to go to look for fossils. It was a trip down to the Jurassic Coast, to the Dorset Jurassic Coast in 2012. It was after this trip that I was inspired to start the museum project. It was after this trip that I really started to get into creation research and working with John Mackay and everything else. And we stayed on the Isle of Portland, and it's got some fabulous geology as well as some brilliant fossils, including some spectacular fossil timber, fossil trees. And if it's still there, and I'm hoping it is, I'm hoping we can go and see a fossil tree that has actually been excavated and put on display at one of the hotels. So we're just starting to get into some of that really typical Dorset landforms. Basically, towards the north of Dorset, you've got the big chalk cliffs, the rolling chalk cliffs, and you also find that to the east of Dorset as well. Moving as you go further west, you get into the Jurassic stuff with all of the clays and the lias and everything else. So what we're kind of driving through now are those Cretaceous chalk downs and sort of the rolling hills as we go. So let's see what we can find. It's not every day you get to drive around with a massive ammonite next to you. Look at that. Beautiful, hey? We're just passing Maiden Castle, which is one of the largest hill forts in the country. Celtic hill fort. There it is up there. It's absolutely beautiful, huge thing. I don't know how well we can see it through the trees, but it's a beautiful, beautiful place to go and spend some time at. But don't think we have much time right now. One thing that you see everywhere around here are barrows, stone barrows. These are mounds that rise up out of the earth, and they are actually Celtic and older burial grounds. So they can be, they could be Neolithic, or Mesolithic, all the way up to Celtic burial mounds. So these stone barrows are littered all throughout this area. It kind of goes up from here in Dorset up into Salisbury, and it's just absolutely full of these incredible amount of archaeology and history. We've just passed the largest hill fort in the country, and it's just full of this Celtic and prehistoric archaeology and architecture. Well, we've come down to the Isle of Portland, where it's very, very windy, because I just wanted to stop off to show you this hotel, Portland Heights Hotel. And the reason I wanted to show you that is because of what they've incorporated into the building. Now, Portland is famous for its Portland limestone, and you can see they've built using some of this limestone here, including all these beautiful seashells. Seashells are really quite common from the Portland limestone, and they've incorporated it beautifully. It's quite famous for its building stone. It's really high quality. But look what else there's incorporated into this. Have a look at that rather fabulous ammonite fossil that they've built into the wall. Absolutely enormous and absolutely beautiful. In fact, you can see in this wall, as we move along, ammonite, lots and lots of sea creatures, and look at the size of some of these things. They're pretty big, so you know for sure that this was buried very, very quickly, this Portland limestone formation. But have a look at what this is. Hey, look, it's some fossil wood, some fossil timber. So you've got sea creatures and you've got wood buried together. Interesting. More ammonites, more ammonites, more ammonites, more ammonites, some fossil wood, some more fossil wood, more ammonites, huge great big ammonite here, and then come have a look at what they've got positioned up over this way. Can you see it? Over in the distance, it's a rather spectacular fossil tree from this very same deposit here at Portland. I mean, just look at it, it's absolutely enormous. And look at some of the details on it as well. Absolutely gorgeous details. I mean, you'd almost not know that it was fossil, but it really is a solid piece of fossil wood. It is now solid rock. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, the point of the fossil trees like these, well, number one, you know for sure that this tree was buried before it had chance to actually rot and decay. Secondly, well, the fact that you've got it buried very quickly next to sea creatures means you have evidence for a massive flooding event. A flood which actually swept over the land, caught up the trees, buried them with the sea creatures, and it had to bury them quickly, otherwise you simply wouldn't get a fossil anymore. So it's things like these which give us excellent evidence as to how these entire island was originally laid down with the Portland limestone. It happened quickly, it had to happen quickly, and it was in a flood which came onto the land, swept up all of the sea creatures, and actually buried them with those land plants as well. So a great piece of evidence from Portland. Well, as much as I would like to spend more time here and actually go do some digging, we do need to get a move on. It is now heading towards 4 o'clock. And it will be getting dark very shortly, within the next hour. And we've got about an hour and a half's drive to get to where we're staying tonight. So we do want to get a wiggle on. But I'm hoping to come back here in the future and come and lead a field trip here. Because who knows, that might be a way that we can uncover something really spectacular. So watch this space. We've made it. We're just slightly along from Lyme Regis at a place called Seaton. Just slightly, ever so slightly to the west of Lyme Regis. This is where we're spending the next couple of nights while we head out to Lyme Regis tomorrow and go and do some exploring. So, yeah, catch you tomorrow, guys, and Who knows when this video will be out there? It may be tonight on time, or it may be tomorrow. Catch you later.